I'm Craig O, and join me on my adventures with Craig O's Cryptocurrency as we cover the blockchain, Web3, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Interviewing the best in the industry, giving tips and tricks, and also sharing with you projects that I'm most excited about. You're watching Craig O's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, cryptocurrency technologies, interviews, and reviews with some of the best in the industry. Malcolm Wilson is a one-of-a-kind gentleman, a family man, an athletic gym owner, an entrepreneur in the Web3 space. Social currency is the key to early success on any NFT platform or project. A strong roadmap with deliverables can excite the public to get involved. Malcolm is a Veve aficionado. And I would also say that the alphas will agree with him because he himself is an alpha. Now, a friend of mine who knows how the inner workings of the Veve app works way more than I do, to have him here today in studio to talk to him about what's going on. We're going to go right in depth about how people can start their collection, how he started his, and he's going to give a lot of great tips and tricks just on how to do this. One of the things is that this app sits on your desktop, but as well on your iPhone or Android device. And with the purchase of gems, you can start your journeys into NFT very easily. So Malcolm, let's get to it. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, my friend.
It's an exciting day to have you here to talk about a platform that really has gained a lot of momentum. I learned about it in March of 2021. When did you learn about this app and what drew you to it immediately?
So I learned about it. I got in actually in about May 2021.
Okay.
And my friend told me about it. So one of my friends was talking about crypto all the time. And then he was like, hey, you know about NFTs? Like, yeah, I'm familiar with NFTs. And he told me about this Veve app. Then he showed me the showroom. He showed me it was in augmented reality. He showed me that it was licensed NFTs, because all the NFTs that I heard of before, I never heard of any of those, those artists or any of those things. It wasn't licensed. So once I heard licensed NFT, and it was Batman, DC, and what else was there? Cartoon Network, Powerpuff Girls, and it drew me in.
So I think it was really interesting, right? Because Batman came out. I got Superman last year, and we will share a really cool story about how you got me the ability to be liquidity as you played broker, because everything is in the Veve ecosystem. Tell me a little bit about that, everything being in the Veve ecosystem, and why right now, maybe even right now during this bear market, you might find that important.
So, yeah. So right now there's no MTL, right? So the way people make sales is basically how if you think about eBay, you have an item, you sell it, right? So you're doing it through your peer-to-peer essentially. So before there was even a marketplace, people were selling their NFTs through eBay actually.
Right.
And so now people are doing peer-to-peer sales. When, say, if you want a collectible I have, and another person, let's say we don't know each other, and you want my collectible, and let's say we trust someone else in the room, we both know this person, then that person will pay the broker essentially.
Right.
And
now, so for those that don't know, MTL is a money transfer license. Go in depth on that.
Yeah. So
please.
With the money transfer license, I'm super excited about that. So that's going to definitely drive up the demand, the trust, and the accessibility to sell or receive your profits much more easier than selling to peer to peer. So that should be launching by the end of Q2, hopefully. I'm sorry, Q3. So I'm excited to see that. That's definitely going to raise the stocks up on Veve for sure.
I might challenge the idea that right now, as we're in a bear market, and we're going to only go further down. We're watching ETH's price right in real time at about $1,100. I would probably venture to say that I think what's going to probably happen is they might hold off on that. And again, I could be wrong. You know way more about Veve, but is it possible that they might want to keep things in their Veveverse? Because obviously the value is greater. Once you open that gate up, we're then going to start seeing tests of what people value outside the Veve ecosystem as far as an NFT. So when Superman from the Veve app makes its way onto OpenSea, how is the market going to respond to it differently from it sitting on Veve, you then swapping out in gems, and then you taking those gems, which we're going to talk about shortly, taking those gems and then converting that into USD because you need a broker or someone to play middleman who knows both parties, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're talking about getting these NFTs like on OpenSea or just a different offer platform, Veve, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So right now, Veve has a partnership with Immutable X.
Okay.
So it's a layer 2 solution based off Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on the Ethereum blockchain, layer 2. So with that, it's not going to be gas fees or crazy gas fees, or it's a lot easier for the masses to do.
Right.
So most of the people, I believe that most of the people will just stick to selling their stuff on Veve, but you have the people who are into crypto, who are into OpenSea and who know about MetaMask.
If they can spot an arbitrage, which is a price difference on one platform to the next, I think you're going to see that. But I also think that Veve is trending right alongside of Ethereum now that they've run their test net and they figured out that they're ready. I believe they're close to ready to launch Ethereum 2 in August. That's their launch date. So Q3 definitely. But again, I think a lot of things hedge on Ethereum. Now, there are other great blockchains as well, so hopefully we'll see Superman and all the other Veve comics, comic book collections on Elrond and on Solana. So that would be really cool, but we're launching out more things into the space. So let me throw this at you. What do you think it will take to create migration and utilization of NFTs and cryptocurrency and getting people onto platforms, because there's so much nuance? What do you think is the one thing, the catalyst, when you think about getting more people involved?
So I feel like first we have to continue creating the awareness about it, right? So it's still so new. Some people don't even know what NFTs are. NFTs stand for, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, very new. But then we have to simplify it. If you think about all the things that appeal to the masses and that are successful, these are the companies that like they target it to make it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
right?
Keep it simple, stupid.
So you think about Coinbase, right? Coinbase is one of the largest crypto platforms. It's because they simplified it. If you think about like Facebook, for example, right? They simplified social media, right? And they appealed to the masses, right? So that's what I believe that's what Veve is doing. And that's why Veve is one of the largest NFT holders, like as people, largest company that have,
well, because there's that social media component to it. Like when you go onto the app, which we will towards the end of the show, when you go onto the app, what you're able to then do is engage and have conversations, see what people value, what they don't. I remember we were talking a couple weeks ago, and you're like, Craig, get in on this drop. It's only $6. It's a long-term play. It's a little bit of money with a potential of a lot of long-term reward. I think the diamond mine, diamond hands right now is not really there. And so I actually want to talk to the story of my success story, and then I want to share yours, because your story, your success story, my success story was tied in with yours. So last year I got in on the Veve app, and I invested about $1,800 in. And some of the good plays that I got is I got a Superman for 125 gems. And every gem is the equivalent to $1 USD. And that's at least how they qualify it on the platform. Still do, right? Okay, so I had about 10,000 plus gems. So there was an 80%. So on gems, if someone wanted to purchase gems to USD and to convert it back in, you were getting about 80 cents on the dollar, correct, at that time?
Yes.
Right now, it's what, about 40 to 50 cents?
Yeah, about 50 cents.
Okay, so that's tough for a lot of people that have money locked up. They want to get liquidity. They're going to have to take a hit. And then you're going to have to find a trusted middle source. And so I was lucky enough to have been connected with you. And we actually connected right around New Year's, right, Christmas of last year. And when we chatted about this, this app and this platform, I said, wait, I have a great resource and someone who I trust. And I hadn't known you for a long time. I said, can you help me put this together? And we were able to take those approximately $10,000. I gave you a small percentage for brokering the deal and ensuring that it would go off seamlessly. And I ended up with about $8,500 when everything was said and done. It was a very good play. I was very happy about that move. And so thank you. so now I look at it as there are a lot of those deals going on. Tell me about a couple. Tell me, I guess for you, share your best success story thus far. I mean, your portfolio at one point was close to $500,000. Is that correct?
Not,
Close to.
Yeah,
At
it was
one
getting
point.
up there. Yeah,
it was getting up there.
yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I want to be a little coy. And when you looked at it, did you take any profits, or have you held everything? This I don't know.
So I did take some profit. So I sold a few NFTs. I sold a few things offline, and I did take some profit. I took maybe about less than 10% profit.
Okay.
Looking back, I wish I would took 20.
Yeah.
But I just know, like, I'm just more of a long term hodler. That's just how I am. I'm a collector and I'm a hodler. So I believe so much in the long term of it that I'm okay with taking the temporary hit.
But I think if somebody went back, I talked to somebody about Terra Luna, and they got back their initial investment, but their portfolio was sky high. They knew enough to get their money out initially that they put in, and they look at it as a loss. And I'm like, but that's not a loss. It's that's an unrealized. That was a realized gain because you didn't get it.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, that's tough for people to swallow when you initially got your money out of losses when you lose your investment. And I think there's sort of that hard difference between people when they think about that, what the school of thought is. What is a social element to Veve? And by that I mean, how do people communicate within the app? We talked a little bit about the chat, but let's go into a little bit about, how people communicate on different collections or singular items.
So there is a in-app communication tool where there's a feed where people can post up, pictures of their NFTs, pictures with them with the NFTs, in augmented reality, pretty much whatever they want within the Veve realm.
Right.
And people can talk through there, but mainly they're going to increase their communication. Right now it's really just the feed, but mainly people really communicate through Twitter. Twitter is so through Spaces. You can get on if you're familiar with Clubhouse, it's Twitter Spaces is similar to that.
Yep.
So there's a host, co-host, and you just join the space and you can talk how we're talking now.
I think that's really important because like a lot of projects that people go into on different blockchains, different ecosystems, I guess they're partly two of the same they usually go to Twitter and Discord. What's really cool about Veve, and it's a good point, is that it is more of a centralized platform, and it will go full Web3, right? So everything is the Veveverse, right? The play on the idea of the metaverse.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that you can chat in room, and that gives you a strategy of how you want to build your collection, right? So, what is, and I know we talked a little bit about it, but specifically tell our audience, what is a gem? And then how does this connect with USD price right now?
Yeah, so a gem is essentially it's the in-app currency, right? So $1 is equivalent to 1 gem. So you could purchase on through your app, and from the Apple Store, buy your gems, and you will get if I put $5 in, then I'll have $5 worth of gems.
Love it.
Right. So there is a small Apple fee when you purchase from Apple. They do have the web platform now, so there is no Apple fee. So the Apple fees are, Apple wants their money.
Apple wants their money.
They want their money. So yeah, they charge a fee that's heftier than a traditional credit card fee. So I would recommend, if people have access to the web platform, purchase it from the web platform, your gems.
Yeah, I actually last time I purchased, because I haven't purchased gems in a while because I had a number of them at one point, I would go through Google Pay. Mm-hmm. Is that directly interconnected with Apple, or is that separate?
It's similar. Google has it. They charge their fees as well.
Yep. So I mean, you're gonna get hit with fees regardless, and I think that is a concern, and we'll hit upon that a little bit later in the episode. So how does nostalgia play into the psyche of a collector in the app, right? So from my end, as a kid growing up in the 80s, Back to the Future, the DeLoreans, and I got that whole set, and I was really excited about it. And for me, it was sort of, I guess that nostalgia is really important. On the percentage of Veve collectors, I guess to be specific, how important is nostalgia for those getting into something, and how is that a money play as well?
That's a great question. I think it's extremely important. That's what connected me to Veve. That's what connected you to Veve, right? You saw
Correct.
Back to the Future. I saw Back to the Future. I saw Batman, the Cartoon Network shows that I grew up on, and what I think a big thing is licensed NFTs, right? Like these are the things that people know, right? So it's DC, it's Marvel, it's Disney, right? So these companies have been around well
For a long
yeah,
time.
they've been around for, before we were born and before our grandparents were born, right? So
Yeah.
these companies they have trust, right? So this is what could attract the masses of people coming in.
Now, Veve was really smart because strategically, what they ended up doing was getting all the licenses in place before they actually started to then launch these digital collections. So it wasn't just like they created a digital comic. They got permission from DC, Marvel, who else?
We have Disney,
Hollywood.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
There's Back to the Future, different
So-
movies, Jurassic Park.
It goes to talk about, when you talk about strategic plan and layout, is that we were talking before we came onto the podcast about roadmaps. And their roadmap, their most important roadmap was the licensing roadmap to get the approval. And think about how powerful that was for them to convince with their branding, with their strategic development, with deploying launch. Like last year in 2021, the biggest problem that I saw was a lot of scam accounts being able to, you saw people across line just having like 50 iPads, like literally no joke, hitting the button go and like trying to like then stealing gems, going on falsified credit cards and putting, so there's a lot of like connery going on in the industry.
Yeah.
And knowing how to avoid that, and even when it goes on, you still play honest. How difficult was that as you learned more about the platform? How difficult, and I don't think it was that you would go off the straight and narrow, but have you heard any really interesting stories in the chat rooms about people strategically doing things that you're like, wow, that was creative? And the reason I ask it is not to glorify the person doing the wrong thing, but to actually think, wow, that person really thought out the box. I don't want to give them credit on it, but was there one thing that still is going on within Veve that you hope will be rectified sooner than later?
Well, yeah. So to address, you were talking about the bots, right? So that's a common problem with any drop system, right? So even if you're trying to get some new Nikes or new Jordans, you're gonna have scammers. You're gonna have bot accounts, right? So that's just part of online shopping, essentially.
Definitely.
So that is something that Veve had to deal with. Nothing we can really do about it. Only thing we could do is not buy from the bot accounts, right?
Yeah.
But what the good news is that Veve did rectify that situation, and now it's much easier to get a drop than it was when back in January.
Which was tough, and I think that a lot of those problems have been mitigated. There still exists, but not nearly at the level before. It's a very safe platform. Actually, I have mine set up, I believe, to 2FA authentication, and then the next step forward is Google Authenticator. How are you on your security protocol when it goes to getting into the app? How do you approach that, and what is your advice to our listeners?
Yeah, so you have your two-way to identify, and then I would say change your password every so often. Make sure you're not giving out your password to people, and just watching out for clicking links, right? You can go into click a fake Discord or click a link somewhere. So just be wary and just do your research and just be cautious on what you're doing, because you don't want to lose your money.
See, and I think that Veve is a very big arena. It's very easy to get in. You're not transferring it between wallets because it's on the platform in your account. And eventually, with the money transfer license, it's going to allow you to then transfer your NFT outside of that app, because you can't transfer your NFTs out yet, correct?
Yeah, not at the moment. So they do have a partnership with Immutable X. So which
is a layer 2.
Yep, layer 2 solution. So you can put your NFTs on the MetaMask or your Ledger or whatever it may be. Put it on OpenSea. So they're pretty much done with the migration of it. So they're just kind of wrapping up some stuff. So we're probably by Q3 it should be done. I'll just say just to be safe, by the end of the year we should see it.
It's going to be very
Hopefully.
interesting. We got to have a couple really interesting weeks coming up. And right now we're sitting down before NFT NYC. So I think we're going to see a lot of great conversation coming from that. And in a time where, people don't have the value, monetary value, but their belief in the communities and the projects. Drew Austin from Knights of DGen, he said, businesses will keep developing, or developers will keep developing, consumers will keep consuming, and the markets will continue to move forward, whether up or down. That we don't know, and it's not financial advice, but I think this is such a great platform, and you're incredibly smart for identifying the path of least resistance with the greatest opportunity, and I think Veve has that. Not financial advice, I'll say it again, but it's one of those things where you might want to get into looking, and I would say this to our listeners. Let's talk about the utility token of OMI. Now, I bought OMI. I bought 458,000 OMI tokens for $3,000. Give or take. And right now that value is at about $700 for those tokens. But how do people wrap their mind around two things? A utility token connected directly onto a platform or a digital asset project, an NFT, right? One. Two is what will be the long-term use of specifically the OMI token and why the OMI token. So I want you to just talk to me about what is the OMI token, what is the long-term use for it, and do you see its value being massive in the years to come? Obviously, since you believe in Veve, those three things. What are your thoughts?
So I definitely believe in OMI token. I'm a holder myself, and I see the value because it's going to play as a form of currency for your NFT purchases or getting your profits, right? So on the app or the web platform, you'll be able to sell your NFT and receive OMI back.
Right.
And then every time you're doing sales, what's great about OMI is it's burning. So anytime
burning.
Yeah.
Say that. What is burning?
So they're burning the token,
Yep.
Which lowers the circulation of it, and essentially it just makes it more rare.
Right.
So and then so the value of it will go up. The less there is of it, the more
Right.
value will be.
Okay.
So there anytime there people are buying NFTs, selling NFTs, especially when the metaverse comes, when you're buying land,
Right.
buying any in-app Veve stuff, all these things are going to be burning OMI, and which in turn increases the value of our OMI.
Right. Yeah. You all right there?
Yep.
I know. I get it. So for those of you that would like to learn about the OMI token, I'd highly recommend that you go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap.
Correct.
Just put in the symbol OMI. You can read about it. Sometimes there's at the bottom, there's this like smiley face or frown face. Sometimes I'll just press it when I'm in there, just kind of see how people are daily feeling about it. They'll actually do a poll daily, but it also shows the market cap of available or what the available supply is. I think the OMI token has really great promise. So when people, can you go on the platform, which we will, can you go on the platform and purchase OMI token directly there, or do they need to do it through their MetaMask? And it is in Ethereum. It is on the Ethereum blockchain, the OMI token. It was on the Go network a long time ago. Can they purchase that directly on the platform into their wallet?
So
To their
so
platform?
not yet. So
Okay.
that's going to be available. I'm sure that's going to be available soon. So right now you have to purchase OMI through and this is what's exciting about it, right? Because we're in the beginning, right? So when that's where the opportunity is at, right? You don't want to wait until everything is done and everyone knows about it, because your opportunity is not going to be there like that, right?
Yeah.
So, but right now it's only on like four exchanges, Excendex, Bit4X, and two others, BitMarket or something like that. But there's only 4 exchanges, and if you look at Dogecoin and
Shiba Inu.
yeah, they're on hundreds of exchanges.
Luna's still around. It's still breathing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's on the ground and it's like resuscitation.
Yeah, and those coins are on 100+ exchanges, right?
Exactly.
So, we're not even there yet, and the OMI token has it's been selling, and there's a good amount of holders.
Well, it's directly connected, and it goes back to that burn. So every time something sells or something is bought, there's a burn going on, right? The burn mechanism. And that, by the way, that's for those that are listening. That isn't in the smart contract. So it is coded into the smart contract on the blockchain that basically says that every time something is bought or sold, it is to do this action, and that action is to burn excess token supply of the OMI token, which when you decrease the supply, obviously with that, you get demand increasing.
Goes up, yep.
Interesting, right? So some collect NFTs partly for sport so that they can flex exclusivity to others, and then some do it primarily for the monetary play. I think I'm a balance between two, not on the flex part, but on understanding the value of different collections, different ecosystems. I'm really enthralled with what Web3 has to offer. When you look at both monetary play or the flex on showing how cool you are to have a Donnie, I think Donnie's still very valuable, right?
It's still pretty valuable.
Still pretty valuable.
Yeah.
What's the most valuable one?
The most valuable, it would be the partner statue, the secret rare Spider-Man, Donnie's definitely up there. I would say those are the top three as far
secret
as
rare Spider-Man.
price.
What is that right now?
The price. I haven't been looking at prices like that.
I know. Are we talking 50,000 gems, 100,000 gems?
It's probably less than that right now. But
Okay.
we're in a bear market.
Yeah.
But it at its high, it was like 100,000 gems.
Jeez.
And then I think its high sale was something like maybe 60, 70,000. But yeah, like the Donnie went up to like 100,000 gems as well.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other scarce items that are priced high. There's like the movie ticket. There's the James Bond movie ticket. There's only 7 of them made.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I haven't checked the price on that for a long time because I'm not buying it. But there's that's probably over 50 grand.
So indirectly, the OMI token. Let's come back to this OMI token because we want to talk about the staking opportunities that are out there on separate platforms. So if someone wanted to learn about it, I just said, hey, go to CoinGecko. Also, hop on YouTube, and that's how I did a lot of my learning. I don't know if sometimes you'll hop on, just listen to some of the tutorials. Shout out to...
I'm listening to Craigo.
Oh, Whiteboard Crypto. That's another one. They really break down things and simplify it. I don't know, I'm not sponsored by them. That would be fun, right? A podcast being sponsored by another podcast. Primarily mine would be centered around interviews. But with the OMI token, you put it onto your MetaMask, right? And that's a whole other episode because, again, these are the nuances that I think stop most people, right? Because there's like 3 or 4 steps. One is you identify a token. You then put that token to be recognized in your MetaMask. You then hook that up to, or you actually put the address and you can do it swap within the app on a DEX, a decentralized exchange. And within that, you can swap Ethereum for the OMI token, but you have to have Ethereum. How do you get Ethereum on? Right, so these are all like the little things. And so go on a Coinbase, you purchase it, you send it over to the address, make sure you have the right address. These are like 5 or 6 different steps that if you haven't done it before, you'd be like, my gosh, like, how do I do this? So, but I do want to talk about that if people did make it that far, are you bullish? Do you feel excited about the OMI staking program, or do you like just your OMI just to sit there in a warm or hot, a cold wallet? And if so, why?
So I'm definitely into staking. So because I'm a hodler, like I believe like when I invest mainly in the long term. And there's different strategies investments. We'll go into that a little bit later. But I'm definitely a long-term holder. So if I'm gonna have it, then I might as well be getting something back for it. So that's staking, right? So I'll gladly take 5, 10, 15%, whatever they're offering the max. So as long as I know that I can have it on a safe exchange, right? So I think that's one of the things that maybe worry some people. But you just gotta do your research and know what exchange you're dealing with.
And that's the challenge. And so that's one of the things, like, don't be first into the pool. It's one of those things I talk a lot about my podcast is if you have a link to a staking platform, before you put your tokens on there, get the feedback from people. Make sure it's the correct link. See what people are saying, good and bad. How easy is it to pull off money? I mean, right now, Celsius, as we speak right now, that app, which I don't have and nothing against it, they've actually frozen withdrawals. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But again, in the Web3 space, anything's possible. Luna crashes, Do Kwon sets up a whole new program, and he's still working with all the major exchanges. So interesting stuff. Like, you just sit there and you're like, did that really, really happen? And it did. All right, what is the Master Collector Program? Talk about leaderboard, points earned, and rewards. And why should people get involved to know more about that?
So the Master Collector Program, simplify, it's just an additional utility for the platform, right? So it incentivizes the holders, the collectors, right? So there are some people who are in it for, they want to flip, they want to make the profit. And I believe everyone wants to make a profit. Even if you're a collector, you're on some level, you want to probably take some profits, right? But it incentivizes the people who hodl and who will hold it for the long term, right?
Right.
So there's the leaderboard. So now some people are going to want to, they want to flex. They're going to want to,
Right.
they want that status, or they just want to compete, right? So me, I'm naturally competitive. So if I'm doing something, I want to be one of the best to do it.
Right.
So,
right.
so there's the leaderboards. Then there's the rewards. So there'll be different rewards that come out for your different levels, your different rankings by maintaining your rank. Every collectible you hold, it'll be equivalent to certain points. And it'll be by rarity. So if you have a common, you'll get a certain amount of points. If you have a secret rare, you'll get even more points, right? And then if you have sets, you'll get a whole points from that set. So a set is let's say, for example, there's the Star Wars that just came out, the Darth Vader, right?
Yep.
So they had a common, uncommon, and ultra rare, 3 rarities in that set. If you have all 3, then you now complete the set. And once we go over it, in the web platform, I'll show you this between the sets and collectibles.
I think that's phenomenal. I think a lot of people don't think about, they hear about the metaverse, they hear about Web3, they hear about NFTs and cryptos, but they're not really thinking, okay, well, how do I first get into the space? And the reason I was so excited to have you on is for a handful of reasons, but one in particular is that I respect you in the space. You add credibility to it. The part of Craigos Crypto Corner, the corner part, really is there's a scam and an opportunity at every corner. And I feel like today's episode is about an opportunity for people. And then we also talk about financial lane. I have a financial lane. There are some of my friends that can buy an NFT every minute of the day and not be fazed by it. For me, that would leave me financially decimated. Yeah. There are others that, they can only get 1 NFT a month. Whatever it is, I think it's the most important is that when you start to read and you start to learn about this eco space, all over, I think you start to empower yourself, and then you start to figure out directions, right? Because what you know is in direct proportion to what you can earn. And I feel like Veve is a really good look on that. And I want people, after the episode, I want people to be able to connect with you directly to ask any questions about Veve, or just even when they do get on the app that they can friend or follow you, right? Because you can follow other people, correct?
You can, yep. You can follow people on the platform. And just to kind of double back on what you said, just stay in your financial lane. I think that is extremely important for everybody, right? Yeah. So for me personally, I stayed in my financial lane. So when there is a dip, I'm not so worried and in a frenzy and so in a rush to sell, right? Because if you just think about of any great investment, right? Apple. So Apple stocks went down heavy at one point, and then it shot up, and then the people who held through, they made it, right? Bitcoin, right? We saw Bitcoin go up and down, right? Yeah. And the people who held through,
Well, here's the interesting thing: if people were always excited about Bitcoin, and right now it's hovering around 24,000. Oh, it's 60,000. Oh, I wish I had gotten some. Oh, I should have gotten some. Well, if you have your money saved up now and you're not over leveraged and that's something that excites you, go get it. That's your deal, not mine. Yeah. I've never really been interested in Bitcoin. I understand the use case for Ethereum, and you're in other projects and platforms, but I feel like this, out of all the things that you do in the Web3 space, because you're in a lot of different projects, but specifically you're most passionate, I believe, about Veve. Do you find that it's the easiest way of entry into Web3 and into NFT digital asset collecting?
Yes, I think it's definitely Veve is definitely one of the leaders of simplifying NFTs. Massive collection of officially licensed partners, and big names like Marvel, DC, Disney, like huge names. Yeah. So these are trusted things. These are things that people are familiar with. They know the product. They know about the MCU, the movies, the toys, the collectibles. And what I think was interesting about Veve too, there's people who collect physical comic books or in physical collectibles, right? Right. So Veve has the NFT counterpart of that. So if you're a collector like myself, so I collect physical comics and statues, things like that, then you're gonna want the NFT. Yep.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. If you have the NFT, you're gonna want the physical.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I think for me, I just actually got Hog Homie's comic because I hold the comic on the Elrond blockchain, and I think it was cool. It was my first NFT to physical asset. But the idea for people who don't know what utility is, so short definition of utility is if you own something, you have benefits to get other things and access and creation of exclusivity. Would you add to that?
I'm sorry?
Would you add to that, or do you think that's pretty on point with when you think about utility?
That's on point.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Discord is jam-packed, right? And so some of the collections moving in overall NFT ecosystem, what are the 2 tips when going into the Discord to get information on the wonderful world of Veve, or any other comments? So I could go onto Discord or Twitter, right? And they have Veve on Discord. When people want to first learn about it, do you recommend that they go onto Twitter, Discord, or say, dude, guys, just, ladies and gentlemen, just get the app, go in there, start to connect, build your profile. Which direction should they go in first?
If I had to recommend, I recommend both because there's going to be good information from both. Sometimes some NFT companies, they might only post on Twitter certain things, and they might only post certain things on Discord, right? Because Twitter is a little more public, and then Discord is a little bit more of the users, right? You typically see more of the people who actually hold on the Discord. Not always the case, right? So I recommend going both. Twitter, of course, is the simpler way. If you can't do Discord, you don't want to download the app, you don't want to get familiar with, at least do the Twitter. But this is how you're going to stay up to date on whatever your investments are, and then that's what you want. That's what you need. Like if you're looking to continue to invest into a project and you want to stay up to it, and you want to be able to sell at the right time or buy at the right time or be able to get new drops that come out, you got to be involved in the community.
I love it. If you want to win it, you got to be in it.
Correct.
So let's open up the computer and let's show people in real time how easy and fun this app is, and if it's at a low money start point or you're looking to maybe create a massive collection, that maybe this is for you. And let me just finish that off with, this is not financial advice. So let's go right into it and look at the screen, and let me just kind of ask you some questions, but I'll let you first just guide it along as to what people should first be thinking about when they get onto the app.
Okay, yeah, so when you first get onto the app here, you have the store over here, right, the tab. So this is the web platform. So the web platform is a little bit different than the app on your phone. So this just launched a web platform. It's still in beta. I believe in another. I'm one of the first people who got access to it. I believe in another about few weeks to a month, everyone should have access to it. So I'm not 100% sure if everyone does.
So I wouldn't have access to this.
You have to get invited to it.
Got it.
Right now.
I didn't get the invite, ladies and gentlemen. Craig's Crypto Corner did not get the invite.
So if you have a certain amount of volume that you bought, or you've been part of Veve for a while, you probably got the invite. So just check to see if you got the invite. If you are on Veve, if you're new, you probably didn't get it. But no worries, everyone will get the web platform soon. But yeah, so you can go into the drops, and then you can see what are the latest drops, right? So what's coming soon, right? So this came out, I believe, yesterday, the Jurassic Park, right? And then you'll see probably later today or tomorrow, we'll see what is the next drop that's coming up. So just keeping up to date. It'll show you the time.
That's awesome.
What's dropping. We have the Star Wars, great comics. These are first appearance comics. So things like that.
So drops are intermixed between comics and then the digital, the
statues.
The statue. Thank you. I was looking for the word. I was like, where's that word?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And just let me ask you, with Jurassic Park, big hit movie. Did you get that drop? Was there motivation to?
So I didn't go for that drop. So when I first started, I pretty much try to go for every drop. Now there's a lot of drops that are happening, and not every drop you're going to get an immediate return for, right? So
right.
So for example, with this drop, the Jurassic Park, okay, it's not going through. But let's say Jurassic Park, it was okay. Here we go.
Yep. So
they all sold out. So it started at 50 gems, right?
Yep.
And you want to look to see how many are there, right? So there's like 8,000 250, right?
Yep.
So if I see like there's a good amount of volume on there, then and more than likely it might go under retail, right?
When you say a good amount of volume, what do you mean?
Like as far as the supply, like the
Got it.
yeah,
The overall
so,
supply.
Yeah, the
Got
overall supply is pretty high.
Yep.
Then so there's something called popularity and then scarcity, right? So if you got a popular thing, so Jurassic Park is pretty popular, right? So I think overall in long term this will do well, right? The ultra rare, if you got an ultra rare, I think it's right now it's like 180, 200 gems. So it did go up, you know.
Got it.
But these drops, they do something called a blind box, which is randomized rarities, right? So you'll buy the drop, and you can either get a common or uncommon or rare or ultra rare.
Which
you don't
evens
know
which evens the playing field, because last year that box drop technique was not there for most people. And what was interesting is, can you tell after, right? So after a drop happens, say for instance there's 10,000 dinosaurs, right? And each one, say like the uncommon has 10,000 dinosaurs. With that uncommon having 10,000 dinosaurs, only 5,000 of them sell on the drop. Once that time is over, does Veve then take those dinosaurs, those other 5,000 dinosaurs that didn't sell, and put them out into secondary market sales? What do they do with that?
So typically Veve will just leave it in the store. So you have the store, and then you have the market, right? That's the secondary sales by the users.
So what's the difference between the store and the secondary? So those 5,000 dinosaurs that didn't sell, they go to the store.
They would stay in the store unless Veve or the licensor decides to to burn it. So that has happened in the past.
So, but when it stays in the store, so the burn is obviously, I know what that is, but for the audience conceptualizing this, they could burn those 5,000 digital dinosaurs, those smart contracts, or they could put them in the store. If they put them in the store, and then you've got the other 5,000 dinosaurs that people purchased in the marketplace. So what happens with the store? What happens with the dinosaurs, the 5,000 dinosaurs in the store?
So they would just stay in the store until it sells out, and unless Veve or the licensor decides to.
So it would be sort of a continuous mint. So the people that are going into secondary market sales will be like, why am I going to sell this when you can go into the store and get it for mint price, right?
Exactly, right? So unless there are benefits to going for drop, right? So the benefit is you can gamble the rarity, right? So it's like, you could try to go for, get lucky and get the rare, the ultra rare, right? Or you can look for a good serial number. So the mint numbers.
And that's in the secondary marketplace.
You can buy in the secondary market, but you can also get a good mint number at drop, right? So I could let's say if I bought one of these T-Rex, and let's say I got lucky, I got a rare 41 mint. 41 is the best mint that you can get.
because the top 40 they keep in house for everything.
Keep in house, correct?
Smart.
Yep.
It's that's really cool, because I think it's also a control. It's also, if things got really hairy or challenging, that they could probably also burn those depending on what they put into their smart contract if they needed to keep the platform alive.
Yeah, so they use it to, you can burn it later. They give it to reward it to the people, the developers. They can use it for giveaways. So they've done giveaways in the past. So that's why they keep the first 40. But yeah, so anytime you're going for the drop, you want to think about you're basically trying to get a good rarity or good mint number, because those would sell higher, right?
Got it.
But you want to look for popularity and scarcity, right? So for example, let's say with the Darth Vader, right?
Right.
So this was I think overall there was probably maybe like 25,000 of these between the three.
Right.
So which is a pretty high supply, right?
Right.
So not that scarce, but I knew this was super popular, right? So I was like, there's no way this is gonna go under retail. So I got as many as I can on drop, and I think I got 3 on drop, and I was lucky to get the ultra rare, and I bought this for, what was it, 50? I think it's 80 gems I bought it for, and like right now the retail price is 1,690.
That's beautiful. Now, by the way, up at the top, right, where you see 1690, you have the hearts with 1.2K people who like this project, and then obviously 542 comments. How important is that, like, after you get into it, right? Because you could spend hours. How many collectibles do you have in your collection?
So let's go into my collection.
Yeah, let's go into your bank vault. Let's take a look.
So I have 236 collectibles.
Yep.
And then 100 comics.
Nice.
And I have 70 73 sets.
Now, the 73 sets, is that part of the overall collectibles on the first 2 rows?
Yes. Yep. So
Cool.
it's either they're the collectibles
Love
on
it.
the first row. Yep. So
And also comics, right? Don't comics have collections, or they don't come in sets?
comics do not come in
Okay,
sets.
cool.
Yep.
Something new that I didn't know. This is awesome.
But they do have rarities. So there's, if you look at the comment. So
And with an increase in rarities, obviously, it decreases the number of copies that they make, right? That's the natural evolution there.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep. So I got lucky and I got this secret rare on drop. So I paid $6.99 for this, and right now the retail price is $375.
$6.99.
Yep. So it says you paid $6.99. This is the retail price here.
Love it.
And there was 30,000 of them made, but for the secret rare, there's only 600 of them. So here's the different rarities. So there's the common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, and secret rare. So this one has about like 24,000, and this one's like 15, 10,600, something like that, right? So every rarity, it lowers the supply of that.
Got it.
So
Got it.
it'll be more likely you can get more profit from it.
Got it. And do they have a rewards code, by the way?
They do. There's a promo code.
Please do me a favor. If you can pull that up on the screen, we'll also share that in the show notes. I want that if anybody watches this episode and has gone the whole way through to really learn about Veve, that if they end up going onto this app, I want you to get the credit. So just put that code up there. So
Oh,
we
like
can
a like
see it.
a like a share code? No,
Yeah.
not at the moment. They
Oh.
have promo codes though, but they don't have like a referral code. at
Got
this
it.
moment.
Okay. I'm looking forward to, because the referral codes are big, and that, again, that comes down to mass adoption. As you go, wait a minute. So if I, like Voyager does that with their app, a couple other platforms do as well, and it's really cool because when you share it, Meyer app does that. Really cool stuff. So I think there's always should be an incentivized reward to get your friends, your family, colleagues on. But again, you're not having to spend a lot of money. I mean, in comparison to what you have, your collection, what it's worth to what you spent on it, there's a big difference. And then right now you're seeing people are flip the opposite way, and they're kind of at the casino table with their chips going, all right, I got to get this one. I got to get that one. And then they watch things drop. I wonder over the past 48 hours when someone purchased on Saturday or Sunday to today, Monday, if they're like, my gosh, I should have been more patient. You don't know. That's the crazy thing. I mean, we're watching Ethereum drop. Prediction, you think it's going to go below $1,000?
With this market, I believe it could, right?
I do too.
But speaking on that,
I
so
do.
the best thing is that's why we want to research our projects, right? And we want to believe and have like confidence that this thing is going to do well in the long term.
100%.
Right? If you don't think it's going to do well in the long term, you should definitely not buy in a bear market for sure, right? You shouldn't buy it at all, in my opinion, right? Because it's just too much a gamble. Like I wouldn't try to flip like $1,000 not believing in the project, right? So if a friend said, oh, this could possibly go up, I'm gonna buy this NFT for $1,000, but I don't believe in a project, I don't believe in the long term, like I just rather not get it.
Yeah.
Right. But there's some people who do that, and then once it goes down, then they sell it, and then once it goes back up, they're like, oh, I should never sold it. And some people buy back in higher. So we just got to be able to control our emotions.
Right.
And just understand. Know what your strategy is, right? So, if you're a position player, I want to talk about that a little bit right now.
Love it.
So, if you're familiar with stocks, or crypto, you'll be able to grasp this a little bit better. But with NFTs, it's very similar to crypto, very similar to stocks, right? Because you can dollar cost average, right?
Yes.
Into these things, right? And then this is how you can create your portfolio, and you'll be able to sell things, later, and buy the more the things that you want later, right? Or just hold and just continue increasing your position. But there's something called position players, which is basically the people who hodl for the long term, right? And then you have your swing traders. These are the people maybe like every month to 6 months, if basically when the market trends. Right now we're in a bear market, right? So you wouldn't sell, typically you wouldn't sell in a bear market. But once the trend goes back up, because it will, right, back into a
Right.
bullish, then this is when you sell, right? And then you buy in the bear market, you sell in the bullish market.
I love it. I love it. Swing traders and position players. I'm always learning something new, and one of the reasons why I love doing the interviews and getting great guests on, such as yourself, is that there will always be these little tidbits that I hadn't thought about. The problem for me, and I don't know if you sometimes feel this, is right now as we're in a bear market, I don't look at my portfolio every minute of the day, but I can tell with the dropping price of certain native tokens on certain platforms that my projects have also dropped in value as well. What I go directly towards, and I think you do as well, to make some of the decision, is it a 50% decision or is it 100%? I don't know. Social currency. So I listen to how people are talking overall about markets and then specifically in different communities. How do you differentiate between the two?
So, I mean, I think that's why it's important to be in the community, right? So this way you can know like what are people talking about, right? Because it does take a play. It does take a part, right? What are people talking about? Because these are the holders, the people who, if enough people want to sell, you know, their Bitcoin or their Ethereum, you know, the price will go down, right? And or if you know if a big whale sells a lot of their stuff, you know, the price will go down, right? So we want to know what is the reason these things are going down, right? So it could just be that one person, could be a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it could be whatever's going on, you know, Ukraine and Russia, right? Like, so like people have their different reasons to sell.
Right.
But if you kind of know what's going on, then it helps you to be a little more grounded and not be like emotional with your investments.
How do you do it, right? You're a father, you're a husband, you've got a athletic gym, you are an entrepreneur, you're also a Web3 entrepreneur. I think there's a difference between those right now, which it's kind of good that it's a separate world. How do you balance out the time management of a lot of the things that I think you and I both get enthralled in with digital assets and cryptos? How do you balance your time in that regard? Is there a discipline there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Craig. And so what I think it starts with your mentality, right? So one of the first things I think about is if it does not serve me in the long run, then I'm not involved in it. Like I'm just not going to do it, right?
Right.
So let's just say if you know I'm invited out to the club with some friends, right? I was like, okay, how does this play a part in my future? Am I making money from this? Am I building relationships? Am I networking from it? Is it going to help me in my business or whatever it may be, right? And if the answer is no, then I don't do it, right?
Yeah.
So instead of wasting time, it helps me to prioritize my time into being a better dad, being a better business owner, being a better Web3 investor. And I think just having those priorities straight, it helps us out, right?
How do you compartmentalize and I think you've answered it, right? Because you just said cause and effect, right? If I go out with my friends partying, am I going out to network? Is there someone who's going to do business with me? I hate to say it that right, but you know, especially with our time as parents and you know, homes to manage, is it a good use of time? And I think you really brought that in there. How do you keep the emotional maturity at bay when everything's kind of going crazy right now? Is there like one tip that you would give somebody if they were to come into the Web3 space? Is there have no expectation, be pleasantly surprised? I don't know. What's your one piece of advice on that?
I think knowing the history. I think history, it plays such a big part, and history does repeat itself, right? So if you think about how things trended before, right? If you were in the 90s and you saw the .com boom, right? And if you read the newspaper, it was saying, oh, it's gonna bust, this is a bubble, right? And we just kept moving forward. Now today, everyone and their grandmother is on the internet, right?
Right.
And then same thing with social media.
Yeah.
That was the next thing, like the next big thing. Yeah. And people thought the whole thing was going to die, but now Facebook is one of the largest companies in the world.
I think people take for granted, right? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. I think people take for granted the nuances and the complexities. They go on every day because they've been tooling around with it. There was this addiction that was created, and I'm aware of that. And I think from there, if you're able to do that in Web 2, then I want to give you the confidence that you should check out at least, at minimum, Web3 related technology and how maybe it can benefit you, your family, your friends, your colleagues. Malcolm, it was awesome having you on today. It was an honor. I think we covered a lot of really great ground. I think I made a good case for why people should think about Veve, not financial advice, and why you are the Veve Alpha, and I'm so honored to have you on. So thank you so much for hopping on to Craig's Crypto Corner.
All right. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate you.
Man.